To the Shop Podcast, man. We love to have you here, man. Appreciate you for being here. Man, tell us about yourself, man.
Alhamdulillah, I'm Sadiq Ali. I'm from the Chi-Town, Chicago, born and raised, alhamdulillah. Come from a small little location on the south side of Chicago called MoeTown. That's the beginning of my journey right there in that MoeTown. So, inshallah, that's what we're gonna really definitely focus on.
How was your upbringing?
My upbringing was smooth, alhamdulillah. My mom tried to do the best that she could do with a situation that was at hand, but you gotta understand that, mom's working maybe 8 hours a day, 6 days a week to pay $700-800 rent. It's gonna be really rough. And it's definitely being the oldest son, so you gotta be able to do things to be able to uplift and help moms out. So it was either, school or, go to the streets, and I choose the streets. I choose that street life. And I learned a lot from the streets. I won't take anything from the streets. Allah put me in the streets to be able to understand the trials and tribulations that I deal with today. Alhamdulillah.
You say you're the oldest of your brothers and sisters.
Yeah, it's 4 of us, so I'm the oldest of our brothers and sisters, so alhamdulillah. And I try my best to be the best that I can be, even right now that I got, even that I'm Muslim and I'm walking the straight path, my whole family followed me, So it was like I was the leader of the family, mashallah.
Okay. When you say you kind of jumped off the porch and went towards the street, what age would you say?
Man, I was like 14, 15 years old. The streets was live then, At that point, we was talking, we gotta be talking about 94, 95. It was live. The streets was everything at that point. And it was fun to do what we was doing into lunacy. And I jumped dead into it, I did. But alhamdulillah.
So, in Motown, tell us about Motown.
Well, Motown is really one of the biggest lands in the city of Chicago. I can obviously vouch for that, right? We got one of the biggest neighborhoods that were all under one regime that, we was all under one name. We was Blackstones. So it was always Motown from all the way from, I think it's Hermitage all the way back to Low. As far as 49th all the way to 55th Street. So on our own little town, we was our own little family. And, and we tried to do our best ability to stay together, but it was rough, man, living in Motown. It was really rough. It was really rough little land. Well, we made the best out of that situation. We were taught from a young age, under the Blackstone thing, you had to be taught order. One no going to school, you get caught going to school, you gotta get violated. It wasn't none of that. The Blackstones definitely pushed order.
So you said it wasn't, just to be clear, you said it wasn't no not going to school or going to school.
It wasn't no not going to school. You had to go to school if you wanted to be a Blackstone. They pushed that. And you get caught not going to school, you're gonna get your little butt paddled. So, you had to deal with that. But you also got to deal with, a group of people that's trying to keep children and everybody else in order, and you trying to generate finance at the same time. And so it's a lot to deal with, So you gotta really balance it out.
So what's one of the major misconceptions of people that when they think about Blackstones or something to that nature, when they think about the organization you're speaking about it?
Well, one of the major things, they thinking that, when they think of Blackstones, they probably think of terrorism. A lot of people say that, but I wouldn't even say it was a terrorism. I would just say it was a strong organization that was trying to help us at a point to be better in the situation that was at hand. Black people was going through a lot of things, and being able to try to organize black people was really hard. But we did it, and it was beautiful. If you would give us an opportunity and a chance to be beautiful, we would have showed you more than beautiful. But this is what was dealt to us: drugs and guns, and at this time, You know, it was everything. Money was everything back at that point. So we sabotaged ourselves with money.
You feel like money played a major part.
Money played a major part in everything that goes on in this country.
But in the destruction or the misorganization.
Absolutely, because you got to understand the way that we're getting money is by destroying ourselves. I'm getting money by selling my uncle, my cousin, my father, your mother. We're getting it by selling them drugs. We're selling narcotics to get money, so we don't see the fact that it's destroying us, but we're just barely gaining off the finance. So we're chasing that money, but we're not seeing what it's doing to us mentally, physically, emotionally, everything. You know what I mean? We're not looking at that and we're blinded by the money. We really don't care at that point, to that time, until you become aware. You know what I mean? Until you take your eyes and see. You know what I mean? And I was able to see when I took out Islam, man. So alhamdulillah that I can able to see that now. I can see the destruction that it was always a destruction from the beginning.
So you kind of rose up in the ranks of the organization.
Alhamdulillah. Yeah, even as a youngster, even with the organization, I used to study the lessons. And I always wanted to be different because, you know, you got people that tell you something, but it's not really what it is. So I want to know what the laws is. I want to know what the lessons is. And I studied them myself. And to be able to study those lessons to make me be able to be the man that I am today. You know, upright, independent, and fearless. That's what we wanted to do. And that's what we was taught to do. You know, to be men. First, as Blackstone, they taught us to be men. You know, we never said that we didn't have emotions, but we didn't deal with them. You know what I mean? We put emotions to the side when it came to a lot of things. And when you do that, you take emotions out of things, you can rationalize and make a better decision on certain things. You know, and just to make a messed up decision where I'm not dealing with it in an emotional way, I'm going to make an emotional decision. But if I don't deal with that, how can I make an emotional decision? I'm going to make a right decision. Like, oh, this is what's best. You know what I mean? Even if it's not best for me, but it's what's best for the situation, it's what's best for the nation. And that was one thing that Blackstone gave me.